You know how social media makes the whole van life dream look perfect? Sunsets by the ocean, laptop on the beach, freedom every single day. But here's the thing. What if I told you that picture leaves out the part where most people run out of cash and end up feeling completely lost? I did it myself. I sold almost everything, packed a bag, and hit the road, thinking I was chasing freedom. A year later, I came back, broke, burned out, and questioning everything I believed about happiness. But before you scroll away, let me ask you this. Have you ever wondered why 95% of people who try the digital nomad lifestyle can't make it work long-term? Stick with me, because in this story, I'll share what no one on Instagram tells you about living on the road, and why the dream can quickly turn into something very different. And hey, while you're here, hit that subscribe button, because I promise, the truth about this journey will surprise you. When I first decided to leave everything behind, it felt like stepping into a movie. I had this image in my head, waking up in a new city every week, sipping coffee in some hidden cafe in Lisbon, working a few hours from my laptop, then heading off to watch the sunset by the ocean. I thought I was buying freedom, and at first it really did feel like a dream. Every sunrise looked like a postcard. Every street food stand felt like an adventure. Every new stamp in my passport felt like proof that I was doing life the right way. Friends back home would text me, "Man, you're living the dream." And I believed it. But here's what nobody puts on Instagram. The nights when you're trying to sleep in the back of a van parked on some sketchy street, and every sound makes you wonder if you're about to get your window smashed. Or the mornings when the Wi-Fi cuts out right before your online meeting, and you're sitting there sweating in a cafe with bad coffee, praying the signal comes back before your boss notices. Behind every perfect photo I posted was a messy reality I didn't dare to show. You see, social media is like a highlight reel. It shows the 1% of beauty, not the 99% of struggle. And that struggle builds up. There's a loneliness on the road that no filter can hide. Imagine being surrounded by strangers day after day, having the same shallow conversations over and over. Where are you from? Where are you going? At first it feels exciting, but after months it starts to feel empty. You crave real connection, the kind you left behind when you chose this path. And then there's the money. Let me tell you, it disappears faster than sand slipping through your hands. Gas, food, visas, random repairs that always cost more than you expect, it all adds up. They don't show you that part in the glossy van life YouTube videos. They show you the sunsets, not the spreadsheets. By the end of my journey, I wasn't counting new countries, I was counting coins. There were nights when I had to choose between a hot meal and saving enough for tomorrow's bus ride. That's not freedom, that's survival. Most people imagine van life or the digital nomad dream as pure escape. Escape from the 9 to 5, from the bills, from the routine. And yes, for a while it feels like you've outrun the system. But here's the truth that hit me like a brick. No matter where you go, you take yourself with you. Your doubts, your insecurities, your old problems, they all pack themselves into your backpack right alongside your laptop and camera. You can wake up in Bali, Barcelona, or the middle of Montana, but if you're not okay with yourself, no mountain view will fix that. That was my hardest lesson. You can't outrun your own thoughts. And let's talk about the myth of constant happiness. People love to say, just follow your passion, travel the world, and everything will fall into place. But passion doesn't pay for gas. Passion doesn't fix a flat tire in the middle of nowhere. And passion doesn't stop you from feeling completely alone when you realize you haven't had a real conversation in weeks. The myth survives because it's beautiful. It's easier to believe that dropping everything will solve all your problems than to face the messy reality of daily life. I also met others on the road who shared my story. A guy in Thailand who sold his business and thought he'd spend his life surfing. By month 6, he was broke, stuck teaching English just to afford food. A couple I met in Mexico had converted a van and set out to live free, only to break down 3 times in the first month, draining their savings on repairs. And yet, none of us posted those failures. We kept feeding the dream online, pretending it was all sunsets and freedom, while silently sinking under the weight of our choices. That's the dangerous part, the silence. Nobody wants to admit they risked everything only to end up more lost than before. Nobody wants to say, I gave up stability only to find chaos. And that's why the myth of van life keeps spreading. It's not that it's impossible, it's just that the truth is far more complicated and a whole lot more human than anyone wants to admit. So if you've ever thought about hitting the road yourself, I'll tell you this. It can be beautiful, yes. It can be life-changing. But it can also break you in ways you didn't expect. And the real question isn't, do you want the adventure? It's, are you ready for the price it demands? Stick with me, because in the next part, I'll tell you exactly what that price was for me, and why the idea of freedom sometimes feels more like another kind of prison. And before we move on, drop me a comment. Would you give up everything for the promise of adventure, or do you think some dreams are better left untouched? Here's where everything came crashing down for me. After months on the road chasing that picture-perfect idea of freedom, I realized I was standing in a place I never expected to be. Completely broke, emotionally drained, and more disconnected from myself than ever before. And that's when the truth hit me. The real problem wasn't the lifestyle, the money, or even the loneliness. The real problem was the illusion I had bought into. See, I thought freedom meant walking away from everything. My job, my stability, my routines. I thought it meant movement, constant change, never settling down. But the more I ran, the clearer it became. Freedom isn't about the road under your feet, it's about the peace inside your own head. And if you don't have that, no ocean view or mountain sunrise will save you. The digital nomad dream sells you the idea that happiness is just one plane ticket away. But here's the ugly truth. Geography doesn't heal what's broken inside you. You can fly across the world, but your doubts, your fears, your insecurities, they fly with you. And until you face them, you'll just keep running in circles. I remember sitting in a cafe in a small European town. I had just enough money left for one coffee. Around me, people laughed, couples held hands, kids ran past the window. And I sat there asking myself, what was I really chasing? Was it freedom? Or was it an escape from myself? That moment felt heavier than any backpack I had ever carried, and that's the paradox nobody talks about. The search for total freedom can become its own kind of prison. You're always moving, always chasing, but never arriving. And the more you run from structure, the more you realize you need it, because without it, you drift. So here's the answer I wish someone had told me before I sold everything. The key to freedom isn't abandoning your life. It's learning how to build a life you don't feel the need to escape from. That's the real journey. Not running away, but creating something worth staying for. And maybe that's the hardest lesson of all, because it forces you to stop looking at the horizon and start looking inward. If this resonates with you, share your thoughts in the comments. Have you ever chased a dream only to find out it wasn't what you expected? And don't forget to subscribe, because what comes next is the reflection that changed everything for me. Looking back now, I can say this. I don't regret walking away from everything. The journey broke me in ways I didn't expect, but it also forced me to ask the kind of questions I had been avoiding for years. Questions like, what does freedom really mean? And what kind of life am I building for myself when the adventure ends? The biggest lesson I learned is that freedom isn't about constant motion. It's not about running from one city to another, chasing sunsets like they'll solve all your problems. True freedom is about creating a life you don't feel the need to escape from. A life with balance, with purpose, with roots that hold you steady even when everything else feels uncertain. And here's the reflection that stays with me. If I could go back, I wouldn't change the decision to leave. What I would change is the way I measured success on the road. It's not about how many places you visit or how many likes you get on a photo. It's about what you discover about yourself when the noise of everyday life fades away. For me, the road revealed something I didn't want to admit. I wasn't lost because of where I was. I was lost because I hadn't yet faced myself. So if you're watching this and you're dreaming about packing it all up to chase adventure, ask yourself first, are you running towards something or just running away? That question alone could save you from making the same mistakes I did. And now I want to hear from you. Would you give up everything for the promise of freedom? Or do you think the real adventure is building a life worth staying in? Drop your answer in the comments below. I'll be reading them. And if this story gave you something to think about, make sure you subscribe and share it with someone who might need to hear it. Because at the end of the day, life isn't about escaping. It's about creating a place where you feel at home, no matter where you are.